I didn't just change my logs, I changed the battlefield. And that was the moment I realized my own family wasn't coming to help me. They were coming to take everything I had. My name is Evelyn Carter, 61 years old, retired nurse, and a widow. 3 months before the day Alyssa waved a quitclaim deed in my face, I still believed my stepson Tyler and his wife genuinely cared about me. After Dawn's funeral, they hovered like angels. Tyler squeezed my shoulder and said softly, "Ev, the house is too big for you alone. Dad would want you comfortable." Alyssa leaned in, her smile warm but sharp at the edges. "Downsizing is self-care. We'll make sure you're safe." At first I thought they meant casseroles, check-ins, maybe helping with yard work. What they really meant was control. I should have seen it when their eyes lit up at the mention of Dawn's life insurance payout. I told them the mortgage was paid, that the house was secure. Instead of relief, I saw calculation flicker across Alyssa's face. The hints began as gentle suggestions. "You could sell before the market drops. Maybe put the place in a trust. Tyler's good with paperwork. You don't want to be a victim of scams. Let us handle your bills." I laughed them off. But then a manila envelope appeared on my kitchen counter. No stamp, no return address. Inside was a durable power of attorney form, blank except for one highlighted line. Attorney in fact, Alyssa Carter. My stomach dropped. The only people with keys to my home were Tyler and Alyssa. I didn't confront them. I did what decades in the hospital had taught me to do: document everything. I slid the form into a folder I labeled weapons and locked it away. From that day, I watched more closely. Soon after, Tyler called, casual as ever. "Ev, utilities said your meter's flagged. We'll bring the guy over tomorrow. Handle it for you." I checked myself. No work order existed. That was when I knew the smiles were cracking. They weren't talking about family dinners anymore. They were circling my house like it was prey. Alyssa pressed even harder. "Think about it, Evelyn. Imagine holidays at one big table at one house. You just show up and be adored. Let us host." I looked at her glittering ring and realized the only sparkle she cared about was the equity in my walls. And in that moment, standing in my kitchen with their words still echoing, I understood what I was to them. Not a mother, not a partner in grief, just a signature. A gateway to everything Dawn and I had built. I steadied myself and thought of the words I'd repeated to countless patients before surgery. "This will hurt, but it's how you survive." From that night forward, I wasn't just Evelyn the widow, I was Evelyn the target, and I was done being easy prey. The mask slipped faster than I expected. Tyler showed up one morning with coffee, smiling like he always did when he wanted something. He set the cup on my table, then slid a folder across the surface as if it were a neighbor's recipe card. Inside were 3 documents: a bill pay authorization, a temporary power of attorney, and a draft trust agreement. Every line was blank except one: my name, my signature line. I looked at him. "What's this?" "Nothing major," he said quickly. "Just makes life easier. Alyssa and I can handle utilities, insurance, stuff like that. You don't need the stress." "I've been paying bills since before you were born," I said. "Stress isn't new to me." He chuckled like I'd made a joke. "Come on, Ev, we're trying to take care of you." When Alyssa arrived later with a bright smile and another stack of papers, the tone sharpened. "These are just drafts," she explained. "If you initial here and here, we can finalize things with the county. That way, when you're ready to downsize, everything flows smoothly." Her eyes glittered when she said county. I knew enough about paperwork to recognize the weight of those words. This wasn't convenience. It was ownership. I pushed the papers back. I don't sign what I don't understand. Alyssa's smile thinned. "It's simple. We keep everything organized. You get peace of mind. Tyler handles the hard parts. Everyone wins." "In that order?" I asked. Her face went flat. "Excuse me? Who wins first, Alyssa? You or me?" She didn't answer. That night, I found myself staring at my phone, scrolling through our family group chat. For years, it had been full of birthday pictures, silly jokes, Dawn's terrible puns. Now, silence. The last message I'd sent, "Dinner at my place Sunday," sat unanswered. Minutes later, the notification popped up. "You have been removed from the group." My chest tightened. Removed. Erased. The next morning, a neighbor stopped me at the mailbox. "Everything all right, Evelyn? Saw Alyssa here late the other night. She looked like she was checking your locks." I forced a smile, just helping out. Inside, my blood turned cold. I checked my phone again. Messages from Tyler piled up. "Mom, don't make this difficult. Alyssa's just trying to help. Stop being paranoid. Sign the papers so we can move forward." I typed back, "I'm not signing anything. Stop leaving documents in my house without asking." Minutes later, Alyssa's reply appeared. "If you don't trust us, maybe you shouldn't expect us to drop everything when you need help. Families work both ways." That was her weapon, guilt. But I had carried my parents through their final illnesses, raised 2 children on night shifts, and held Dawn's hand through chemo. I knew the difference between guilt and love. I closed the messages. I sat in my kitchen, folder of fake authorizations on the table, and realized the truth. Tyler and Alyssa weren't just circling. They were inside the walls already, and if I didn't push back, the next signature they tried to grab might be on the deed itself. I whispered to the quiet room, "Not today, not ever. Silence is a cruel weapon, and my own family wielded it against me." The group chat was gone, vanished, as if I had never belonged there. At first I thought it was a glitch. I scrolled, refreshed, even restarted my phone. Nothing, just the cold emptiness of being deleted by my own blood. Then came the Facebook post. Alyssa had written it in her careful, polished way. "Sometimes older relatives don't realize when it's time to let the next generation step in. Boundaries can be painful, but necessary for growth. #family first." She didn't name me. She didn't have to. The comments rolled in. Friends of hers, people I didn't know, praising her maturity, her compassion. My name wasn't mentioned, but I could feel the sting of every word. I was the older relative, the burden, the problem that needed fixing. I sat on my porch with my coffee, staring at the neighbors' tidy lawns, wondering if they'd read it, wondering if they believed it. Later that week, I saw proof. At the grocery store, a woman from church gave me a tight smile. "How are you holding up, Evelyn? Must be hard resisting change at your age." At my age, as though 61 was ancient, as though independence expired like milk in the fridge. That night, I scrolled again. Tyler had unfriended me. Alyssa had blocked me. My grandchildren's photos, those small shining faces, were locked behind digital walls I could no longer pass. The isolation wasn't just online. In the neighborhood, I noticed whispers. The neighbor across the street who used to wave every morning now turned away when Alyssa stopped by. And Alyssa stopped by often. Too often. One evening, Mr. Jacobs from next door knocked on my door, holding a small bag of tools. "Evelyn," he said cautiously, "I thought you should know. I saw Alyssa fiddling with your side gate yesterday. Looked like she was checking the lock." I forced a polite laugh. She probably thought she was helping. He frowned. "Helping with a crowbar?" After he left, I locked every window and checked the doors twice. Then I went to my cedar chest and pulled out the folder I had labeled weapons. Inside, I placed the screenshot of Alyssa's post, the printed messages from Tyler, and a note in my own handwriting. "Neighbor witnessed tampering at gate." The more they isolated me, the more determined I became to keep a record. If they wanted me alone, they would find me armed with the truth. But the loneliness seeped in anyway. Nights grew heavier. I found myself reaching for my phone out of habit, aching to see Dawn's old puns in that group chat. Instead, the screen glared back blank. It was a new kind of grief. Dawn had died once. Now my family was killing me in pieces, deleting me click by click, lock by lock, until I was no longer a mother, no longer a step-grandmother, just a woman in a big house, cut off and painted as stubborn, paranoid, and disposable. I sat at my kitchen table, the folder of proof heavy in front of me, and made myself a promise. If they wanted me isolated, then I would turn my isolation into armor. Every slight, every post, every neighbor's whisper, I would gather them all. Because this war was no longer about bills or convenience, it was about my existence. And I wasn't about to vanish quietly. I stopped crying and started printing. I pulled every receipt, invoice, tax bill, insurance statement, and utility ledger from the cedar chest and fed them to the scanner. I printed call logs. I printed screenshots. I printed the porch cam still of Alyssa trying a key that didn't exist. I labeled each page in thick black pen. Dates, times, what was said, what was done, what was missing. Then I wrote a post, not a rant, a ledger. I have been described as confused, resistant, and difficult. Here are the facts. Mortgage paid, taxes current, utilities in my name, no power of attorney granted. Documents were left inside my home without permission. Here is the video of a family member attempting entry with an unauthorized key. Here are the messages pressuring me to sign away control. I am not confused. I am not alone. I am not for sale. I attached 4 images. Property tax confirmation, deed in my name, the blank POA with Alyssa's line highlighted, and the porch cam still. I hit post and turned off my phone. By morning, the community had woken up. Neighbors I barely knew commented first. "We've seen her caring for Dawn for years. She mows her own lawn. She helped my mother through chemo." A church friend added, "She taught our CPR class and kept the AED funded." Then the nurse from Dawn's hospice team chimed in. "Evelyn kept meticulous logs and advocated for appropriate dosing. She is sharp, thorough, and absolutely capable." Underneath, a handful of Alyssa's friends tried the script. "Maybe this is a misunderstanding. The younger generation just wants to help. Trust is hard for elders." They were drowned out by people who had actually seen me. I didn't gloat. I printed the thread and added it to weapons. That afternoon, I walked into the branch bank with my folder. The banker, a woman my age with eyes that missed nothing, studied each page. "Someone called about your accounts last month," she said quietly. "Claimed to be your agent. We refused access. You might consider a password on phone inquiries." "Do it," I said. She lowered her voice further. "And Mrs. Carter, if anyone brings you paperwork to sign here, we can verify it before you touch a pen." I shook her hand. Witness secured. At the hardware store, Mr. Jacobs waved me over. "Saw your post," he said. "If you need me to say what I saw on the side gate, I will. I don't do drama, but I don't do theft either." "Write it down," I said and handed him a form. He did. I filed it. Alyssa responded that evening. "It's unfortunate when private family matters are broadcast," she wrote on her page over a soft focus photo of hands clasped across a table. "We love Evelyn. We're just trying to keep her safe. Boundaries are hard." I did not reply. I posted 3 more pages of ledger instead. The utility company's no work order email, the county portal showing taxes paid in full, and an email from my lawyer confirming there is no power of attorney on file for me anywhere. The likes stacked up. So did the messages in my inbox. Not pity. Stories, widows, caregivers. Parents who had been pressured into quitclaim deeds and temporary signatures that became permanent losses. A woman wrote, "They told me it was just to help me. I signed. I lost my house." I printed them with names redacted and added them to weapons, not because I needed more paper, because I wanted to remember how easily this happens and how fast. Tyler finally texted, "Take it down." "No," I wrote back. "Bring your documents to my lawyer's office. Bring a witness. We'll record the meeting." "You're making us look bad." "You did that," I said. "I'm making it visible." 2 days later, we sat at a long conference table in Patrice's office. Patrice placed a small digital recorder in the center and announced the date, time, and who was present. Tyler looked wrecked. Alyssa wore contrition like a coat that didn't fit. "We want to clear up the confusion," Alyssa began. "No confusion," Patrice said. "Facts." I slid forward the stack, the blank POA with her name highlighted, the porch cam still, the neighbor statement, the bank's note, the utility email, the county portal screenshots. Patrice read each one into the record. Alyssa's smile thinned until it disappeared. Patrice turned to them. "Do either of you have any legal authority to act on Mrs. Carter's behalf?" "No," Tyler said. "Did you leave or cause to be left any legal documents in Mrs. Carter's home without her knowledge?" Tyler hesitated. Alyssa cut in. "We were trying to help." Patrice didn't blink. "Yes or no?" Tyler swallowed. "Yes." "Did you attempt to access Mrs. Carter's property without her permission?" Silence. Then Alyssa tried a new angle. "I was checking the locks for safety." Patrice slid the still across the table. This shows you attempting entry with a key Mrs. Carter did not issue. Alyssa went pale. A friend at the management company gave it to me. She thought I was authorized. Name? Patrice asked. Alyssa shook her head. I'm not getting her in trouble. Then you already did, Patrice said and noted the refusal. We sat there while Patrice read a prepared statement into the recorder. Mrs. Carter affirms there is no POA, no trust naming parties present as trustees, no consent for entry or document drop-offs, and no consent to any transfer of ownership. Any further attempts to obtain signatures outside council will be considered exploitation and referred for investigation. Alyssa found her voice. You're overreacting. This is family. Patrice's expression didn't change. Family is not a legal defense. Tyler rubbed his face. Ev, please, can we just reset? Reset how? I asked. With me in a lifetime occupant role while you hold the deed? He flinched. We were scared. Money's tight. I didn't see a way out. There was always a way, I said. It started with asking, not taking. Patrice slid a final sheet across the table. Mrs. Carter has executed a notice of no power of attorney and a fraud alert affidavit with the county. She has also placed a password on all accounts and a note on title. Any recording attempt will ping my office. If either of you file or present instruments touching her property, we will treat it as fraud. Tyler stared at the paper like it was a verdict. Alyssa stared at me like I had built the gallows. You did this, she said softly. No, I said. You did, I just wrote it down. After they left, Patrice turned off the recorder and looked at me. You did well. I feel like I just went to war with my own blood, I said. You went to war with behavior, she replied. If they change the behavior, blood can heal. If not, you'll be glad you chose paper over hope. On the way home, my phone buzzed. Messages from people I hadn't spoken to in years. Saw your post. Proud of you. Need help setting up cameras? I accepted 2 offers, one from the neighbor kid to install a floodlight, one from the church friend to sit with me while I made a binder for originals and a separate binder for copies. We labeled them Origins and Ammo. That night, Alyssa posted again, a photo of a sonogram. New life, new beginnings, the caption read. The comments swooned, a few barbed at me. Hope the grandmother finds grace. I didn't answer. Babies are not shields. They are reasons to be better. I didn't sleep. I made tea and walked the house with the quiet. The porch light threw long rectangles across the floor. The cameras pulsed blue at the corners. Dawn's picture smiled from the mantel. I thought about how easily this could have gone the other way. One signature, one flustered yes, one day of grief in the wrong hands. The next morning, a knock. Mr. Jacob stood there with a thermos. Town talk is messy, he said. You need anything, you holler? I might need you to speak at a meeting, I said. He grinned. I like a microphone. I scheduled the community hall. I invited exactly who mattered, Tyler and Alyssa, Patrice, the banker, Mr. Jacobs, the hospice nurse, and 3 neighbors who had posted specific concrete support. I kept the list short. Not a show, a record. We sat in a circle of metal chairs under buzzing lights. Patrice opened with the basics. This is recorded, this is who's here, this is why. I read my ledger. Not every page, enough to make a spine. Alyssa tried to interrupt. Patrice held up a hand. You'll have time. The banker spoke first. Mrs. Carter is current and independent. We have no concern about her capacity. We do have concern about recent phone inquiries. The nurse spoke next. I worked with Evelyn through her husband's decline. She handles stress by getting clear. She is clear. Mr. Jacobs went last. Saw the gate, saw the key, didn't like either. Then Patrice turned to Tyler and Alyssa. Anything you want to say? Tyler looked at me, not the floor this time. I'm sorry, he said. I helped push. I let fear make me dishonest. Alyssa held my gaze and tried to smile. It didn't land. We wanted to bring the family together, she said. We went too far. You skipped the part where you lied, I said, and the part where you tried to make my fear bigger than your plans. She didn't answer. Patrice clicked off the recorder. That concludes the statement portion. Any further issues will be handled through counsel. After, as people stood and folded chairs, the banker touched my arm. You have more allies than you think, she said. Use them. On my porch that evening, I watched the street settle. Kids on scooters, dogs tugging leashes. Normal, ordinary life I almost lost because I wanted to be loved more than I wanted to be safe. I poured tea and set weapons, origins, and ammo on the table beside me. The binders looked heavy. They felt light. This wasn't about winning online. It wasn't about humiliating anyone. It was about naming a thing and pinning it to paper until it stopped wriggling free. The public drama did what private pleading never could. It pulled the rot into daylight. It forced witnesses to pick a side, truth or story. I didn't cheer. I wrote the date on the spine of the binder and slid the chair back from the table. Next came the twist I hadn't asked for and wouldn't dodge. They always come, the emergencies, and money always drags them by the collar. I thought the storm had peaked in the community hall. I was wrong. The real twist came dressed as an emergency, and as always, it was tied to money. The phone rang early before I'd finished my first cup of coffee. Tyler's name lit up the screen for a moment. I considered letting it go to voicemail, but I answered. His voice cracked with panic. Mom, Alyssa's in the hospital. I felt my chest tighten. What happened? Stress, blood pressure, the baby. They're keeping her for observation. His words tumbled fast, but then slowed to the real point. We don't have insurance that covers this hospital. They want a deposit. We're short. Could you, just this once, help? There it was, wrapped in crisis. The ask. I closed my eyes. My instincts, the nurse in me, the mother in me, screamed to protect the child, to shield the unborn grandbaby from harm. But the part of me that had built weapons, origins, and ammo whispered, check the chart before you medicate. Send me the hospital paperwork, I said. A pause. What? Admission forms, billing statement, patient name and ID. I'll get it, he muttered. But an hour passed, then two. Nothing. Instead, a message from Alyssa appeared on Facebook. A glowing photo of her in a hospital bed, hand on her stomach, caption. When family refuses to step up, stress finds its way into the body. Some people choose money over blood. The comments came fast. Sympathy, condemnation. A few thinly veiled barbs pointed straight at me. I printed it, added it to ammo. That evening, my lawyer Patrice called. Evelyn, the county clerk, flagged something today. A preliminary deed transfer filed under your parcel number. Grantor, Evelyn Carter. Grantee, Tyler Carter. It's unsigned, incomplete, but someone tested the waters. My stomach lurched. Filed when? This morning. The same morning Alyssa was supposedly hospitalized. Patrice's voice stayed even. They're playing both sides. Crisis to soften you, paper to steal from you. Classic 1-2. I steadied my breath. We can stop it? Already did. Fraud alert affidavit caught it. Filing rejected. But Evelyn, understand. They're escalating. I hung up and sat in the quiet. My teacup rattled against the saucer from the tremor in my hands. They had moved from whispers and pressure to official documents, from guilt to fraud. The next day, a knock at the door. Mr. Jacobs again, holding his phone. You better see this. He showed me a neighborhood Facebook thread. Alyssa's mother had posted, my daughter risks her health carrying this baby while certain people hoard money in houses. Imagine choosing property over family. Beneath it, a dozen neighbors argued. Some defended me. Others piled on. Public drama all over again. I didn't reply. Instead, I called the property management company I'd once used for Dawn's rentals. List my backlot for lease, I told them. Short term, market rate, cash only. The manager hesitated. Are you sure? That's family land. Not anymore, I said. Within a week, the lease was signed. A young couple moved in, their moving truck parked where Tyler once threatened to build a garage. I handed them the keys myself, witnesses, legal occupants, proof I could choose who entered my world. Tyler called that night furious. You leased the lot to strangers? To tenants, I corrected. With a contract, with rent, with respect. You're tearing this family apart, he shouted. No, I said calmly. I'm putting it back together with walls that hold. The silence on the line was thick, then broke with Alyssa's voice in the background. "She'll regret this. Just wait." I hung up. The next morning, I found another envelope on my porch. Inside was a handwritten note. "Mom, don't push us this far. Think about the baby. Think about legacy. Sign the transfer and let us carry the weight." No signature, just a pen pressed so hard the paper nearly tore. I filed it in weapons. Then I opened a new notebook, crisp and clean, and wrote across the first page in black ink, Phase 2, my legacy, my choice. The twist had arrived. They thought urgency, illness, and unborn innocence would weaken me. They thought filing at the county would slip under my radar. They thought isolation would corner me. They forgot who I was, a nurse who charted every heartbeat, a wife who logged every milligram of chemo, a woman who built binders named weapons and ammo when others built excuses. The emergency wasn't mine, the money wasn't theirs, the trap was closing but not on me. I booked the community hall because living rooms make liars brave, fluorescents make them careful. Patrice set a digital recorder on the table. "State your names," she said. I did, Tyler did, Alyssa did, chin high. Mr. Jacobs sat to my left. The banker from my branch came too, arms folded, eyes alert. Behind them, the hospice nurse who had watched me hold Dawn's hand through the worst year of our lives. Not a crowd, a quorum. Patrice began. "We are here because Mrs. Carter reported attempts to obtain signatures and access to property without consent. We will read the record, then you will respond." I opened ammo and slid the stack across, the blank POA with Alyssa's name highlighted, the porch cam still showing her key in my lock, the utility email confirming no work order, the county's rejection stamp on the bogus preliminary deed, printouts of Alyssa's posts, the note left on my porch, the banker's phone password confirmation, Mr. Jacobs' signed statement about the side gate. Patrice read each item into the microphone. The room felt like a slow tide going out, every wave of paper pulling excuses with it. Alyssa smiled without warmth. "This is misunderstanding. We were trying to help. Evelyn is grieving." The banker spoke first, tone clinical. "Mrs. Carter is current on all obligations. We refused multiple unauthorized phone inquiries about her accounts. Capacity is not in question." Mr. Jacobs cleared his throat. "Saw her try the gate, saw the key, didn't like either." The nurse nodded. "Mrs. Carter is organized and oriented. She delegated nothing during hospice. She doesn't need an intermediary." Patrice faced Tyler. "Do you have legal authority, power of attorney, trustee status, or recorded interest in Mrs. Carter's property?" "No," he said. "Did you leave or cause to be left legal documents in her home without her knowledge?" He glanced at Alyssa. "Yes." "Did you attempt to file a preliminary change of ownership using her parcel number?" His jaw tensed. "I didn't file." Patrice held up the clerk's note. "Filed under your email domain. Rejected due to fraud alert. Would you like to revise your answer?" Silence, then very quietly, "I knew about it." Alyssa's voice went bright and brittle. "We filed it to prepare for the future. Estate planning." "Estate planning is not performed behind the owner's back," Patrice said. "It is performed with her signature, which you don't have." Alyssa leaned forward. "She was going to sign. She told us she would consider a trust." "I told you I would consider nothing," I said. "I told you to bring paperwork to my lawyer. You brought a key to my lock." Alyssa's eyes flashed. "You are weaponizing paperwork to punish family." I met her stare. "You tried to erase me with paperwork. Today I erase your lies with proof." The sentence landed. Even the lights seemed to buzz louder. Patrice slid a new sheet to the center. "Mrs. Carter has executed a notice of no power of attorney, a fraud alert affidavit, and a title password authorization. Any recording attempt triggers counsel and the clerk's office. Any future approach for signature must occur here, Ibondiero, with witnesses on record." She looked at Alyssa. "If you proceed anyway, we will refer the file to Adult Protective Services and the district attorney as suspected elder financial exploitation." Alyssa laughed once, sharp. "She's 61. "Which meets the statute," Patrice said, "and the conduct meets the pattern." Tyler finally looked at me, not through me. Ev, I'm sorry, he said. I let the money scare me. I let Alyssa push. I thought if we moved fast, you'd thank us later. You mistook my love for consent, I said. They're not the same thing. He swallowed. I'll sign whatever you need me to sign. You'll stop whatever you need to stop, Patrice corrected, and you'll acknowledge on record that Mrs. Carter has not granted you or Alyssa any authority. He nodded. I acknowledge. Patrice angled the recorder toward Alyssa. You? Alyssa's jaw flexed. Fine, I acknowledge. Patrice slid one last document toward them. A no contact for signature agreement. You will not present, deliver, or leave legal instruments for Mrs. Carter to sign anywhere but this office, with counsel present for 12 months. Violations will be referred. Alyssa pushed it back. Absolutely not, Tyler signed. Alyssa stared at him. You're choosing her. He capped the pen with shaking fingers. I'm choosing the truth. Alyssa stood, chair scraping metal on linoleum. This is grotesque. You've turned a family into a courtroom. Patrice clicked the recorder off and then on again. For the record, meeting adjourned due to voluntary exit of one party. Alyssa's heels hammered the aisle, the door thudded shut. The nurse exhaled. Mr. Jacobs muttered, Good riddance, paperwork princess. Tyler stayed seated, smaller than I'd ever seen him. I'll make it right, he said. Making it right is not a promise, I said. It's a pattern. He nodded, eyes wet. I'll build it. Patrice gathered the papers with a surgeon's calm. We set the boundary, she said to me. We put teeth on it. If they bite, the law bites back. On my porch later, the street lay quiet. Kids looped their scooters. A dog barked 2 houses over. I set weapons, origins, and ammo on the table and added a new binder labeled Verdict. Inside, I placed the audio transcript request, the signed no-contact agreement, and the clerk's fraud rejection. My phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. You'll regret humiliating us. No name, Alyssa's cadence. I added the screenshot to Verdict and turned the porch light brighter. I didn't post a victory speech. There was no victory. Only oxygen, the clean kind you notice after someone stops sitting on your chest. The hall had done what kitchens couldn't. It made deception speak its name into a microphone. The next day, Patrice sent the audio link. I listened once. Tyler's apology sounded like a first brick. Alyssa's exit sounded like a door I wouldn't reopen. That evening, I wrote one sentence on a note card and taped it inside my front closet where only I would see it. I am not a signature. The final blow wasn't the threat of charges or the notarized forms. It was me keeping my name on my own deed, my keys in my own hand, my story in my own voice. The rest, apologies, repairs, consequences would come later, or not at all. For now, the erasure had failed, and I was still here. The house was quiet again. Not the anxious quiet of waiting for footsteps outside the gate, but the clean quiet of ownership, my roof, my locks, my name still etched on the deed. Tyler came alone the following week. No Alyssa, no papers, no pretense. He stood on my porch like a boy, not a man. His voice cracked. Mom, I'm sorry. I let her run everything. I let money turn me into somebody I don't even recognize. I didn't open the door right away. I let him stand there, shifting from foot to foot, until I was certain the apology wasn't just another tactic. Finally, I stepped outside, binder under my arm like a shield. Sorry is a word, I said. Trust is a habit. Which one are you offering me? His eyes glistened. Both, if you'll let me. I thought about the boy I once taught to ride a bike in this very driveway, wobbling, falling, getting up again. I thought about the man who had just signed his name in a lawyer's office, acknowledging in front of witnesses that he had no right to my property. And I thought about the woman standing behind him in every plan, every scheme, every whisper. Forgiveness is not a door I can fling wide, I said. It's a window that opens inch by inch if you prove you won't slam it shut on my fingers. He nodded quickly. I'll take that. I'll earn it. I believed the fear in his eyes. I believed he was ashamed. But shame doesn't rebuild fences. Actions do. As for Alyssa, there was no knock, no message, no contrition. Just silence and the occasional venom online disguised as inspirational quotes. Some people would rather cling to paper than embrace family. I stopped printing them out. They weren't evidence anymore. They were noise. Neighbors asked me if I would press charges. "You have the proof," Mr. Jacobs said. "You could take them down for good." I shook my head. Courts punish. I want something longer. I want distance. And so I chose a middle path. I did not forgive Alyssa. I did not cut Tyler off. I let him come by on Sundays with groceries, sit at my kitchen table and talk, not about deeds or trusts or money, but about memories, about his father, about the baby on the way. I listened. I answered when I wanted. I withheld when I didn't. Forgiveness, I decided, was not a single act but a boundary I redrew every day. When church friends asked, "Have you forgiven them?" I replied with the only truth I had. "I'm not finished deciding." Because some wounds close with time, others stay tender, a reminder that survival doesn't always mean reconciliation. I sat one evening in my garden, binder of records beside me, tea in hand, and looked at the house Dawn and I had built. It was still mine. I was still here. And whether forgiveness bloomed or not, I had already chosen the one thing that mattered most. I had chosen me. The last papers were filed, the last locks were checked, the last binder slid into place on the shelf. For the first time in months, I didn't feel hunted inside my own home. I spent spring putting my life back together in ways that had nothing to do with signatures or affidavits. I joined the book club across the street. I planted tomatoes along the fence Don once built with his calloused hands. I invited neighbors for coffee, people who had defended me when lies painted me as confused and stubborn. Their laughter filled the rooms where silence had been my only companion. The phone still rang sometimes. Tyler, steady on Sundays, asking if I needed groceries, asking if I wanted updates on the baby. I allowed it. I kept boundaries sharp, but I didn't cut him off. One day, perhaps he would prove that his apology wasn't just a moment of shame, but a change of character. Alyssa never came back. She stayed behind her posts and her bitterness, a wall I had no interest in climbing. Some people choose lessons. Some people choose denial. That was her road to walk. One evening, as the sun bled orange across the sky, I sat on the porch with a glass of tea and looked at the house that had almost slipped through my fingers. They had tried to shrink me to a signature, to erase me with paper, but I had stood. I had kept my name, my deed, my dignity, and in that moment, I understood something simple. I didn't need their approval. I didn't need their version of family. I didn't need to win anyone's love by surrendering my own life. I needed only this: my choice, my voice, my name still mine. I whispered it into the twilight. I choose me. If you've listened this far, thank you. Tell me in the comments, what would you have done in my place? And don't forget to subscribe to Revenge Stories U60 USA because stories like mine deserve to be heard.